I'm Anna. Welcome to Fluxygen. Today, I'll be taking you through the key features of Fluxygen, your no and low-code integration platform with no limitations. Fluxygen enables you to set up your unique business process using the most suitable applications and get them to work together. For this demo, we'll log into our demo environment, where I'll use my work email address and password to log in. We'll then be taken to the Flow Manager screen, where you can monitor the system's health. I'll come back to this later. In the top right-hand corner, you'll find your login details and the option to change your password or log out of the application. In your account details, you can enable two-factor authentication. If you use this feature, we'll provide you with a QR code that you can use in your Authenticator app. To the left of your username, you'll find the link to our Academy, where you can find general and detailed information on how to use the application and build your integrations. Fluxygen can be used as a multi-tenant application. Directly below your username, you can see which tenant you are currently working in. If you have access rights to multiple tenants, you can use the tenant dropdown to switch to one of the other tenants. In the Flow Manager, you can see all the flows running in test and production. You can sort by any column and apply filters so that you get exactly the information you need. As well as information about flows and exchanges, you can retrieve management information about flows and statistical information about the resources used. You can drill down into any flow to view all the information and details. The Flow Designer is where you configure your integration flows. On the Flows tab, you can organize your flows into groups. On the Components tab, you'll find the library of components that you can use on your route canvas. We'll take a closer look at the Flow Manager and the Flow Designer shortly. We only display the Tenant Manager if you have access to multiple tenants. Depending on your permissions, you can manage access for your users and manage the email variables for the test and production environments. Next, you'll find the Instance Manager. This is visible if you have administrator rights for this instance. The Instance Manager allows you to create and organize your tenants, or switch from one tenant to another. You can sort and filter all overview screens by any header and by one or more details. Before we take a closer look at the Flow Manager and the Flow Designer, there is the Tenant Variables screen. Here, you can manage variables at tenant level. Variables are therefore available at flow and tenant level. Let's take a closer look at the Flow Designer. You build your flow on the route canvas, an infinite canvas with a mini-map that gives you an overview of where you are on the canvas. If for any reason the flow returns an error, the route falls back to the error route canvas. The error route is, in itself, simply another flow in which you handle the what-if scenario in the event that an error occurs. On the Settings tab, you can edit the name of the flow, save this flow as a component, set your transport type, enable the tracing function for a specific time period, and organize your flow variables for your test and production environments. The final tab at flow level is the Notes tab. Here, you can save notes containing information you wish to leave for others. Together with the notes at component level within the flow, these notes serve as your functional and technical documentation. Let's go back to the flow route canvas and create a new flow to discuss the basics of creating a flow. The simplest concept consists of two endpoints with something happening in between. For example, an incoming HTTP request that receives XML data, which we want to save in CSV format on Google Drive. First, we create a new flow, give it a name, and place it in a group. We switch to the Components tab, search for or select the incoming HTTP component, and drag it onto the canvas. The other endpoint is the outgoing Google component to save the result to Google Drive. As you can see, the components are red. This is because they still need to be configured further. By clicking on the Validations tab, we'll give you some guidance. If you double-click on the HTTP component, you can configure everything you need. All components are pre-configured, or opinionated, which means we've already set up many default settings to minimize the effort required for you to get started. To save on explanations, I'll now show you the completed configuration. Note the Information button at the top of each component. This takes you to the relevant page on our Academy. The inbound HTTP component acts as your Fluxygen API. When you connect to this endpoint, the flow is initiated. In this demo, we use Postman to send a sample XML file. The flow converts the XML to CSV using the XML to CSV component. Next, we need to name the desired output using the setHeader component. The final step in this demo is to save the file to my Google Drive. Let's see what happens when we run it in Postman. This URL corresponds to the Fluxygen API in the inbound HTTP component, and my XML file is included in the body. As you can see, the result is available on Google Drive. If we view the result in the Flow Manager, you'll find every step listed in the transaction log. If you want to make any changes, you can switch to the Flow Designer from here using the Open in Designer button. Finally, if you'd like to learn more, I'd strongly recommend taking a closer look at our Academy via the URL academy.fluxygen.com. I'll also leave this link in the description. You can try Fluxygen for free. Just go to fluxygen.com/contact and let us know in the message that you'd like to try Fluxygen. Have fun trying it out.